I read Half His Age by Jennette McCurdy, the highly anticipated debut fiction novel by author Jennette McCurdy, most known for her memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, which I like so much I read twice. Actually, I read it once and I listened to the audiobook once, but still. So I was very excited to pick this up. Just based on appearance and title alone, this is a book that I personally would never pick up if not for the author. Let's talk about the cover. My first instinct when I saw this cover was this is an awful cover. We can tell by the premise and even the title alone that this might be a story about abuse, and so why does it have a sexy cover? After reading it, I can understand why this cover was chosen for this novel. This is very much from the perspective, obviously it's from the perspective of our main character, this teenage girl who's having this relationship with this older man, but the way that this teenage girl views this relationship, if she had to choose an image to convey this relationship, I think she would choose this one, and I'll get more into that. So this book introduces us to a teenage girl named Waldo, and she lives in Alaska. And she seems to be very disconnected from most of the relationships she has in her life, the boys she dates at school, her best friend, her mom even. That one's a little more complicated. She definitely wants to be connected to her mom, but it's her mom, unfortunately, that is very neglectful. All of these relationships are empty and unfulfilling to Waldo. She also has a shopping addiction, which is not so much about the clothes themselves, but about the dopamine hit she gets after the purchase, or when the purchase is made, that clearly fades away after the purchase. She begins to sexually fantasize about her creative writing teacher at school. She admits that he's not exactly conventionally attractive, but that she's very attracted to him. It's not super clear to me why this teacher out of all teachers, but she seems to be projecting a lot onto him, making assumptions about his life. At this point, it kind of seems like this fantasy is entirely hers and she's just chosen a body to project it onto. She starts talking to this teacher outside of class and the two of them kind of become closer. One day they go on a walk together and she kisses him. He immediately shuts her down and says, this is inappropriate. I want to read a line to you from the scene right after Waldo does this. He doesn't patronize me. He just has a lot of life experience that I don't. Life experience that gives him a perspective I couldn't possibly fathom. He's the adult. I'm the child. Waldo isn't saying this because this is an inappropriate relationship that she can't consent to because she's the child and he's the adult. She's saying this in sort of a way like, oh, he's the adult, I'm the child, of course. Just little old me. But I think to put that line early on definitely sets the tone because these two quickly after this begin a sexual relationship. This is something Waldo wants so bad, but she doesn't even have to try very hard. This teacher caves in immediately and begins a sexual relationship with this teenage girl who is his student. The majority of this book gets into this relationship between this teenager and this 40-year-old teacher in a pretty graphic way. Waldo feels very in control of this situation. It's definitely written from a perspective that this is Waldo's fantasy, this is Waldo's dream. She's so obsessed with this man and so attracted to him. And we, of course, as the reader can see that this is not right, this is gross, this is uncomfortable because of this age difference, but our main character doesn't see it that way, and honestly, because of that, this book doesn't feel that dark and disturbing compared to, say, the book I'm the Girl by Courtney Summers. If you know this channel and me, I bring up that book a lot, and I'm sorry about that, but what can I say? That book had a really big impact on me, for better or worse, but like in that book, the scenes between the teenager and the older man make you want to peel your skin off and also scream. Whereas this one I would say you're like pretty uncomfortable because you know the circumstances of it, but me personally, I don't see this as like an incredibly dark read. I want to talk about the writing a little bit. I like Jennette's writing style. I find it very digestible and easy to just breeze through, and also kind of relatable. I enjoyed this book because it was written by Jennette, and I feel like there are some lines in there that I can tell she kind of pulled from her own experience. So our character Waldo obviously comes from a dysfunctional family. Her dad's not in the picture, and her mom is completely neglectful and kind of a mess herself, especially with men, which I think is a whole other topic. I think her messiness with men definitely bled down to her daughter. This is a line from when Waldo is over at someone's house who has quote unquote normal parents and a functional family, and this is her observation. People who come from functioning families just don't have the same charge as the rest of us. Functioning families make for boring, flavorless people who just go through the motions of life, never knowing what it really means to live it. Or maybe that's a false narrative I cling to in order to feel better about my dysfunction, my lot in life, myself. Maybe coming from a functioning family doesn't resign someone to a bland, muted, watered-down existence. Maybe it's better, a lot better. Maybe that person learns how to navigate their emotions more effectively and not be led by them or ruled by them, or so disrupted by them all the goddamn time, appended by them. Maybe that person learns how to communicate better and how to curb impulsivities and fit into systems and be more okay, and grin even as bullshit is being shoveled into their mouth, and keep grinning as they claw that shit and swallow it, letting the sludgy stream slide down their throat. I thought that was a nice observation and potentially coming from a real place of the author. There's a line this far into the book, in the second half of the book, where her teacher, Mr. Corgi, the one who she's having the relationship with, has to write his name down for some reason. And it's written out here, Theodore Corgi. And to me, this was an important moment. You realize that this entire book, she's been calling him Corgi or Mr. Corgi. She never calls him by his first name. And they've been having this relationship for a while now. I think we're meant to have this realization here, because I don't think his first name is ever mentioned before this. Like, of course she's been calling him Corgi this whole time, because he's her teacher, and she is not an adult. I won't get into spoilers for how this ends, but this book is kind of just like a blip into this girl's life and this relationship, and where it came from and where that desire came from, the desire to be seen and loved, and the only way that she knows how to get that attention. There's no insane plot twist, there's not like a giant resolution. It's just about Waldo sort of realizing things about herself. And obviously, if you've read Jennette's memoir, she's been open about the fact that she also had a relationship with an older man and how that negatively impacted her. And I think a lot of these realizations might come from a personal place. It's also never addressed why her name is Waldo, and I wonder why Jennette chose this name. In my own head, I imagined that her mom thought she was gonna have a boy and had already picked out the name Waldo, and then when she got a girl was like, yeah, Waldo, that could be a girl's name. All right, cool, sounds good, because that's just the personality of her mom. She just like doesn't care. I'm excited to see what Jennette does next. I honestly would love to see something completely different and weirder and maybe a little more high concept. I don't know. I hope she experiments and gives us more cool books to read, because I will be reading them. And that's Half His Age. Let me know if you guys have read it and what you thought of it. Let me know which books you might want me to cover next. Subscribe if you're new here and you want to see my face again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.